Good afternoon or evening, everybody, and welcome back to another weather forecast by Agent Weather Forecast. And we have a very significant upload here with a ton of updates with now Hurricane Ida. Yes, this thing is now a hurricane. It formed just yesterday as a 40-mile-an-hour system, and this storm has already rapidly intensified. Ida is now an 80-mile-an-hour hurricane as it is heading here for western portions of Cuba. So this thing has strengthened 40 plus miles an hour actually, because I recorded my video before, or actually way after right now. So basically strengthened around 40-ish miles an hour within the past 24 hours, which is obviously a rapid intensification. As well, pressure has really dropped now. Pressure is at 985 millibars and it is moving northwest at 15 miles an hour. Again, this is the absolute monster. We're not going to be looking at the other invest. We're going to be going straight into the system. And now the National Hurricane Center predicts a Category 4 peak with the next 48 hours, it getting up to 140 miles an hour. Obviously, I mentioned in my video yesterday and in my comments, this could obviously become a Category 4. And I think the chance for Category 5 is increasing. However, I'm still skeptical about a Category 5 happening because obviously you would need an additional 20 to get towards 160. But overall, initially it's an 80 right now. Within 12 hours, it's to continue this rapid intensification phase and get another 20 miles an hour within 12 hours. So being Category 2, and then 24 hours, and then it goes another 20 miles an hour. So it's gonna be strengthening at a rate of 20 miles an hour per 12 hours. And it's obviously set in stone that this thing could very well strengthen up to probably 80 miles an hour just alone in 2 days, which is absolutely mental. And it slows down a little bit within the strengthening, getting 130, then 140 within 48 hours. And it's most likely going to make landfall as a Category 4 hurricane. This is an absolute life-threatening system. I don't want to sound over dramatic, but this is going to be an unsurvivable storm for those who wait out this system in southeast Louisiana. I hate to be like that, but this is going to be an unsurvivable storm if people are waiting out this storm. Looking at life-threatening storm surge here, we actually have a storm surge forecast now. So looking at overall, probably getting as high as maybe 10 plus feet to maybe as high as maybe even 15-foot storm surge, which is obviously by far way unsurvivable and obviously above any human height. So life-threatening storm surge and hurricane conditions are expected to continue tonight throughout western Cuba, including Isles of Youth, where the hurricane warning is in effect. Again, we also have hurricane warnings in effect for the United States and for Cuba. There's a danger of life-threatening storm surge across portions of Louisiana and Mississippi. So like I just say, I believe I said it yesterday, at least I hope I did, that Mississippi was getting slept on. And again, they are under a huge area for storm surge as well as they're in the northeast quadrant, looking at extremely life-threatening 10 to 15-foot storm surge above level. Again, obviously Louisiana is under sea level, so New Orleans is under a massive threat. And I hate to say this, but it's going to be New Orleans' biggest test since Katrina in 2005. No storm has come close to Katrina for New Orleans. Obviously, Laura didn't hit New Orleans. Obviously, Delta didn't hit New Orleans. This is going to be New Orleans' biggest. It's gonna test New Orleans. It's gonna test eastern Louisiana. It's gonna test the city of New Orleans and their levees, as it's gonna be potential catastrophic wind damage possible where the core of Ida moves onshore, and action to protect life and property should be rushed. So again, I believe there is mandatory evacuations already for southeast Louisiana, as we're watching out for extreme widespread storm or flooding here. Again, this is obviously very big wording here. Again, looking at it overall, rapid strengthening during the next 24 to 36 hours. So continue to see, and then again bringing it to Category 4 hurricane. And overall, I mean, I know I'm still very skeptical about it. I really doubt a Category 5, but we still can't rule out the possibility. I mean, this thing strengthened up to 88 miles an hour already, which is basically, what was it? Maybe I think that's 15 above what it was expected to be now. I think it was expected to be 65 when it hit Cuba, and now it's already 80. And the low pressure is basically right here, just south of Cuba. It's about to start bringing extreme winds there across, specifically Havana is going to get hit really hard. Seeing some overall good. This one's obviously looking really good. There are a lot of initiation as well as some good. That obviously diverging clockwise flow there within the upper level anticyclone. as well as an overall pretty strong core, good amount of outflow and inflow. You can kind of see it really kind of bringing in a lot of that nice moisture wrapping around this low level circulation. And overall, it's looking like an absolute monster. It's actually going to look at the actual convection. We do actually have a central dense forecast right now. So this is kind of showing you we're probably going to get to a hurricane, rather, or not hurricane, sorry, going to get strengthening. It's already a hurricane, but this EDO, at least it was really good earlier today before it actually became an official hurricane. I mean, look at that thing. This thing was absolutely mental earlier. And now it's starting to get a little bit of effects here as it goes over Cuba. So a lot of that convection is starting to weaken a little bit. But overall, still seeing some really deep convection of over basically within negative 80 degrees Celsius cloud tops. So again, really good cloud tops. These are really high intense thunderstorms as well. So overall, keeping a very, very close eye on the system. Again, it's going to get just absolutely mental once it actually makes its way into the Gulf of Mexico. It's going to be a massive, and I mean absolutely massive threat for portions of Louisiana. So let's now get a look at the 5 o'clock advisory here by the National Hurricane Center, and we do now have hurricane warnings across portions of eastern Louisiana. So again, I mean, Louisiana has just been absolutely hammered for obviously, especially 2020, and now this will be New Orleans' biggest test since Katrina. And I don't like to bring that name out, but this will definitely be Katrina's biggest test because we're probably talking about Category 4 hurricane. And again, this is obviously going to be even a possibility for Category 5. We can't rule out the possibility. Is it really possible? No. But is it likely? I mean, it couldn't happen. Yes, it can happen. I mean, this thing's it's already becoming a monster before it even really even goes into the main area of ocean heat content in really good condition. So it's going to be a massive threat here. Again, National Hurricane Center has now put it to a major hurricane by Saturday morning here. So basically, or sorry, tomorrow afternoon. They have it obviously still as around a Category 2 tomorrow. Then becoming a Category 3, then a Category 4 right before landfall and hitting as a 140 mile an hour system. New Orleans is under a hurricane warning. Morgan City is under a hurricane warning. And that's what these hurricane watches go all the way near Cameron, Louisiana, which obviously got hammered by Delta and Laura last year. And then these watches go all the way up to near Mobile, Alabama. We do have tropical storm warnings here all the way from western Louisiana to portion there of the Mississippi border there near Gulfport. Like I just said, we can't rule out the possibility for Mississippi as well getting hammered. And then it's going to be overland near south central Louisiana as a hurricane, weakening to a tropical storm near Macomb, Mississippi there, and the overall Mississippi River. And then becoming a tropical depression here. But overall, watching out for a monster 140 mile an hour system. Again, hurricane warning still in effect there for much of western Cuba, including Havana. So we have big cities like Havana, New Orleans there, are all under hurricane warnings for this massive storm. So let's now get a look at the overall storm surge forecast. This is obviously the latest 5 o'clock advisory. We now have a 10 to 15 foot storm surge area, and I actually would not doubt if this increases into areas of eastern Louisiana. So we do have 10 to 15 foot storm surge, and for those who don't know, 10 to 15 foot storm surge is unsurvivable. Unless you're in like the Louisiana Dome or like in a super duper high building, which I would not recommend whatsoever in a hurricane. I would recommend just evacuating. And I do believe that there are already mandatory evacuations for southeastern Louisiana. I think so. I think there are. If not, there are going to be some very soon here. Again, hurricane warnings were just issued. Storm surge warnings were just issued. I mean, we're looking at probably a 10 to 15 foot storm surge. And honestly, I could easily see it go above 15 feet. I wouldn't doubt we get as high as 18 feet, and I wouldn't even doubt we get a scattered 20-foot storm surge. Again, I probably sound like I'm being overdramatic, but I would rather be more overdramatic than under forecasting it because this is a serious situation, and you do not want to under forecast and spread false hope. I'd rather overreact than I guess under forecast it because then that means people will be. It's better being safe than sorry, and better being over prepared than under prepared. They're looking at overall dangerous storm surge and tide. Obviously, the deepest water will occur in the immediate coast near the landfall location, and again, as well to the northeast quadrant. And as well, we do have anywhere from 7 to 11 foot storm surge all the way up there near Ocean Springs, Mississippi. There, so like I did say, Mississippi, I do believe was getting really underestimated. As well, 2 to 4 foot storm surge near Mobile Bay, and then of course we do have 4 to 7 foot storm surge probably within the lake oh my gosh, how do I not know this yet? Pontchartrain, or I am not pronouncing that. I know, I probably learn it later on, but basically within the New Orleans vicinity. We're looking at over 4 to 7 foot storm surge, but the worst of it will be near the mouth of the Mississippi River. And then I'm gonna get storm surge all the way near the Texas border, where Louisiana, where Delta and kind of lower may landfall there, and then 6 to 9 foot storm surge all the way near Morgan City, and then 3 to 5 foot storm surge there near Pecan Island or Pecan Island and Intracoastal City there. So overall, really widespread storm surge within the system. I would not doubt storm surge goes all the way near Pensacola there, 1 to 3 feet. Here's now look at the 5 o'clock advisory here, or update on the overall day 3 excessive rainfall outlook, and we have a massive moderate risk all the way from portions of southern Mississippi there to much of, if not all of eastern Louisiana, including New Orleans. This also includes Gulfport, Biloxi, Baton Rouge, Morgan City, just that general vicinity here. So I think we will easily see a high probably by tomorrow, though. And the reasoning why we do have such a big moderate is we're looking at anywhere from 15 to 20 inches of rain, and that's going to be a massive threat as well, even pretty far inland. Look how New Orleans is basically right on the edge there of that 15 to 20 inches. So New Orleans will not only get storm surge, but they're going to get probably anywhere from 1 to 2 feet of rain added on to that storm surge. So really keeping a close eye on it, especially for the areas near southeast Louisiana. We're going to be obviously seeing the worst storm surge there, plus the rain is going to obviously add on to the amount of water in the actual sea level, or the actual city itself. So obviously that rain will obviously cause more flooding early. But once the actual system makes its landfall, that's when the storm surge is going to really kick in here. Going to see anywhere from 2 to 4 inches all the way from Cuba there, so still watching out for significant rainfall there near Havana and western Cuba. And they're going to be seeing extremely dangerous flooding there across eastern Louisiana, even to southern Mississippi there. We may get anywhere from 10 to 15 inches near Macomb. And they're going to get all the way from half a foot of rain all the way up to Memphis. So overall, really watching out for the Mississippi River, specifically the mouth of the Mississippi River. They're going to be seeing extreme flooding and extreme storm surge. And a big threat is that water in that kind of surge really goes kind of all around the river here, basically. So obviously it's going to be a pretty big threat. We may see some significant inland flooding all the way near areas near western Mississippi there and northeastern Louisiana. So keeping a really close eye on this. Here's now a look here at the what NOAA wants here for the 1 to 7 day rain forecast, and they as well want 15 to 20 inches there across that general vicinity. So really watching out for significant rainfall on the coast there. Going to be absolutely just crazy amounts of rain, obviously within a major hurricane, you bet. But this is definitely not a pre-storm here. Even near 10 inches all the way near Mobile, and even significant rain in Birmingham to below Memphis. Really watching out for this system, though. Let's now get a look at the 18Z ensembles here for the intensity guidance. And oops, my microphone just dropped a little bit. So they actually want to have it jump straight to category 4 here. So there's a massive jump compared to yesterday. So obviously to category 1 with this huge rapid intensification here. It's going to get to a category 2 rather soon, within maybe I say 6-12 hours. Then I get to a category 3 within maybe 18 hours or so. And then going to get to a category 4 within 36 hours or so. And even sooner if it continues with this unexpected rapid intensification, and if it continues to strengthen furthermore than expected. So looking at, as of now, a category 4 hurricane, and really getting it very close to category 5. So overall, whether it's a category 5 or 4 or 3 at peak strength, it's going to be a catastrophic storm for southeastern Louisiana and portions of Mississippi, and even inland Mississippi and Louisiana are going to get catastrophic flooding, and as well extremely strong winds. This is going to be a massive test for Louisiana and the metro area, because they're directly in the northeast quadrant. I mean, they're going to have a pretty high tornado threat, a pretty high flooding threat, and a very high threat for a storm surge and extreme winds, since the northeast quadrant right now is going to continue to be the strongest part of the storm, and that looks like it will continue to trend like that all the way up to landfall here. It's not going to be the most symmetrical because of the positive PVUs, kind of just to the west of the actual LC or so, including shear. So a lot of that initiation, the worst of it will remain in the eastern quadrant. Really watching out there. Again, New Orleans is just the east quadrant. So looking at landfall within the next probably by Sunday, Sunday afternoon here. So looking at probably a landfall within maybe the next 3 days or so. So again, I would recommend you guys evacuate now, and I would not wait out the storm, especially if you're on the coast here, whether it's New Orleans, whether it's Morgan City, whether it's anywhere in the southeast coast of Louisiana. I'm not really familiar with many of the names there. But I would evacuate. I believe there is already a mandatory evacuation, so you shouldn't be dumb enough to wait the storm out. Because if you value your life, I'd recommend you do leave. It does not hurt to drive 200 miles northwest of Shreveport. That does not really hurt much. I mean, I'd rather have a 100% chance of living by evacuating than risking my life to wait out a storm here. So I don't want to sound over dramatic, but that's the reality. And as a quote unquote forecaster, I have to stress the idea that when storms are catastrophic, I have to bring it up. I may sound like I'm being over dramatic, but there comes a time where storms are going to be catastrophic, and this is going to be one of them. We're talking about a category 4 as of now, the potential chance for a category 5. Again, I'm not saying it's going to be category 5. I still think it's unlikely, but again, we're talking about at least 140 miles an hour, and I think that peak will continue to increase here. But just really, really keep an eye on this, and then it's most likely going to go up the river there. Ooh, that's highlighter. It's most likely go up the river and then turn northeast here and bring in some more rain and flooding there across Alabama, Tennessee, and as well even Georgia and northern Mississippi. So let's take a look here at the overall 18Z or no 12Z GFS. And again, GFS or the 12Z models will obviously be behind, as the saying has RI to 80 miles an hour and 985 millibars, excuse me. And they don't have getting to 985 until the next 24 hours. So basically, you do the mathematics. So what it has now, 991. So what that is, a 6 millibar difference. So let's go 985. So math-wise, that means it'll be 979 there. Just joking, guys. That's not how it works, but I was just trying to make it joke. You know what? No jokes. I shouldn't joke about a category, soon to be category 4. But overall, GFS must have an absolute monster, getting up to 955 millibars there for southeastern Louisiana. Just an absolute monster, and bring extreme flooding, extreme storms. There's no overall. It's going to be a very crazy and extremely significant storm here. Again, this will obviously probably be stronger than Hurricane Katrina than landfall. This does not mean it's going to be anywhere close to Katrina, because Katrina brought 28.3 foot storm surge, and that's not going to happen. We may get 20 foot, we may get maybe 21 feet max, but we're not getting anywhere close to Katrina damage or Katrina storm surge or anything like that. But CMC really looks like they're underestimating it still at 984 millibars. Let's get a look here at what the icon is showing here. I've actually, I've not seen the icon. The icon must have, oh my god, I don't remember the last time I've seen the icon go this strong here. Probably Eta or Iota here. I mean, 955 millibars there. But they still kind of have it going a little bit further westward than the GFS and the CMC here. But they have get into an absolute monster. And let's now get a look here at the overall. Let's actually go back to winds really quickly here. I want to show you guys the 10-meter winds here for the GFS here. So again, they want to have just an absolute crazy storm. So there you see they kind of have a pretty overall. You see the eastern quadrant's a little bit more elongated side than the western quadrant. I mean, look at the winds that New Orleans will get. And just imagine the gusts as well, 54 millibar landfall there. Obviously not as low as Laura, but still a rather strong storm, of course. So now go back, actually, let's get a look here as well to the vorticity. So let's go to the European real quickly here and get what the European is saying. And the European vorticity signature is actually pretty intimidating if you actually look at it. Let's get a look here what they have, 850 millibar wind, and they're showing it getting over 100 knots there, which is what, maybe 130-ish miles, maybe 125 miles an hour or so, maybe 120. I really don't know, but this is just an absolute monster storm. We're looking at the H Wharf. Even the H Wharf is pretty far behind. They're behind 10 millibars where it is now, but they want to have it make landfall at 939 millibars. Just absolutely killing. I mean, this absolutely just killing the coast here. I mean, it's gonna be the amount of beach erosion we're gonna be seeing here. This is gonna be absolutely killing the coast here. It's just gonna be killing the coast. I don't mean killing. You guys know what I mean. Like I mean killing the coast as in like the amount of storm surge and the amount of beach erosion and how the beaches are gonna look after the storm here. I mean, this is as well gonna be pretty catastrophic damage as well. I recommend you guys evacuate for this. If you look at the models, all the malls and the trend, and you decide not to evacuate, then I don't know if you even have an IQ, because I know some people cannot evacuate. I know there is obviously people that don't have cars, or there's people that just can't evacuate. But find a way. I mean, find a resource. I'm not sure. Again, I really don't know how that really works, but just find a way to evacuate. Whether it's bus transportation, whether it's, I don't know, whether it's finding a friend, something. Try to find a way. If not, I would recommend going to the New Orleans Dome, because I know they typically allow for people who don't evacuate to go in there for shelter. Really, I mean, this is just the DH. I mean, obviously it's the DH Wharf, but if I'm being completely honest, I don't think they're being completely unreasonable. I mean, this could easily get to the 940s. If I'm being completely honest, and they want to get to 114 knots, then making landfall at 110 knots. So they had the peak just before the landfall. 114 knots is probably a low in category 4, maybe 140. Let's go look at 850 millibars. I'm actually kind of scared what it's gonna have. It has 130, has 144 knots for 850. That's absolutely crazy. The 850 millibar wind. Yeah, we already looked at the winds here, but yeah, hope you guys enjoy this short video on Hurricane Ida. Again, I'm gonna have more updates on this. I'm most likely going to stream tomorrow with information on this. But again, this is a catastrophic storm we're looking at. I would definitely not. I recommend that you guys take this seriously. And yep, see you guys later.